Hello, Sister Talk Real Talk. My name is Monique, and I am your host of Sister Talk Real Talk. And I wanted to welcome you to another, what I'm calling Mo Moment. And I had a lot of questions come in for my last Mo Moment. If you did not see it, if you didn't have an opportunity to watch and listen to the video, it's a very short video, but it's hashtag unapologetically me. So the follow-on question that everyone wanted to know was, what brought me to the point where I was able to convey to people, hey, I am unapologetically me? And what was it that pushed me to a point where I felt like that I needed to share it with other women as well? Well, this episode is called hashtag the catalyst. I think everybody has moments in their life and situations that cause them to either shrink back or they cause them to rise up, and it causes them to fight back. And I've had many moments in my life. As I said, I've been in technology for more than a couple of decades now. And as an African American woman in technology, there were a lot of challenges about being received, just people being surprised that I had technical aptitude and intelligence and the ability to understand marketing and technical materials and business plans and strategies, and that I know what NPV and ROI are and all of these other things, as well as the fact that I understand relational database theory and how to program in SQL. So the thing I can tell you was actually a few months ago that was a catalyst for me. And I want to talk to you about that catalyst, that moment when you realize that something has occurred with you, that it's an opportunity for you to actually stand up and to rise up. I will tell you that when that moment happens, you will not want to rise up. You will not feel like you want to challenge anything. That moment, the way that you can identify it is it is the antithesis of feeling like you are empowered. It's probably going to be a moment when someone tells you you can't do something, when someone belittles you, when someone sometimes, and oftentimes I should say, it's people of power that are condescending towards you, that cause you to feel as if you don't have a voice or you don't have a right to have a voice. They challenge your intelligence, not based on the fact that you're not performing, but based on the fact that the perception of who you are because of the way that you look, because of your gender, because of your race, that you should not have the ability to perform at the level that you're performing. It's when someone wants to make you feel small so that they feel bigger. Now, I've had a lot of those moments in my life. I've gone through and I've experienced them. And over time, I think I've continued, or I should say, I know I've continued to grow. And you get to a point where you realize that as long as you are authentically you, and that your authentic self is not mean, is not spiteful, it's not abrasive, it's not arrogant, but it is confident, that you get to a point where you say that I'm coming to the table. That thing, that catalyst, I'll tell you, for me, it was a moment several months ago when someone that it was in a position of power in my organization spoke to me in a way that made me as a person want to shrink back. My initial response was shock. I was dismayed. I was surprised. I was offended. I was hurt. But then after all of that, I became angry. Now, that anger can do a couple of things. And I think we've all faced it. When you're angry, if you turn that anger inward, you become depressed. You can shrink back. You can cower in the midst of their perception of who you are and not fight for, or who they think you are, and not fight for who you know you are. So in those moments, what I am calling the catalyst for me was I had had enough. I had had enough of those moments. I'd had enough of the inaccurate, inappropriate interactions from people that feel like, because they don't look like me, because maybe they're a different gender than me, because they're in a position of power, that they have a right to treat me any way that they want to, that they have a right to speak to me any way that they want to. So I'll tell you the first thing that I did once I calmed down and I in that moment, I took a beat and I took a moment, and a few days later, I actually addressed that person. And I let them know that the way that they spoke to me is not okay. Because as far as I'm concerned, for me, there is no amount of money that someone can pay me that gives you the right to discredit me, to disregard me, to discount me, to be rude to me, or to belittle me. There are no dollar signs that you can put in, no zeros that you can put behind any number that at any point in time will ever give you the right or the authority to be able to do so. Now, you may think that. I know that there are individuals that think I write the check, so I can treat you any way you want to. But I have news for you. This is not the days of slavery. I have a right. I have rights, and I am a person, I'm a human being, and I'm not property. And we all deserve to be treated with respect. So in that moment when that occurred, as I said, I took a couple of days, but I did go back to the person and I said, I appreciate constructive criticism. I grow from that. Please provide me with that. And I gave them an example of what that looks like. Then they asked me, well, what was the difference? And I conveyed to them in the tone and in the way and the words that they conveyed back to me, what they said to me, how they addressed me. How they addressed me as if I were a child, as if I were less than nothing, how they addressed me with disdain, and how they challenged my character and who I was versus giving me feedback on performance. And there's a difference. One is very personal and one is attacking. Another is professional and it's meant to cause someone to understand and to grow and to meet your expectations. They may not even be performing incorrectly, but they may be performing in a way that you don't necessarily expect. Sometimes there is a gap in what's expected and what's being performed, and there's a conversation that needs to happen. But it wasn't even a performance thing, it was a preference issue. So I know that there are so many women that have had moments in their life that have caused you to question yourself, that have caused you to shrink back. And you may say, no, I've got this. But inside, there's that little voice. There's that memory of what's going on. I want to challenge you to allow that to be your catalyst. Your catalyst to be unapologetically you. Your catalyst to make a change. Your catalyst to stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough, I'm done. Not I'm done and I'm quitting and I'm walking out on you, but enough is enough. And I'm done with allowing that to happen. Convey the fact and do whatever it is that you need to do to convey to that person or to the organization that being treated that way is not okay. And your expectation of how they should treat you. They have an expectation of how you should perform. You have an expectation of how you deserve to be treated and respected in the midst of that performance. So if there are moments, and I'm sure you all have had them, we all have, don't allow them and don't allow those things to cause you to shrink back. As hurtful as they may be, I know as hurtful as it was for me, as upsetting as it has been when it's happened in the past, particularly when I know it has nothing to do with performance, but I'm being discriminated against, I'm being discounted, I'm being treated differently than a male peer of mine would be treated. I know in those moments it's very difficult because if you're like me and you've been in tech or you've been in your profession for years, then, or even decades, then you've experienced it more than once. But my challenge is for you is #catalyst. Be in a place where you cause that to catapult you into your next level of performance. So the final thing that I'm going to say is the difference between what happened then and what happened now and where I am is that my performance actually increased and I began to sit at the table as even more of a leader. Not because of what they said and their feedback, but because of how I was treated. I actually took that and instead of shrinking back, I brought even more of my full self to the table. And that has resulted in an amazing turn of things in the organization, an amazing turn of things that have gone on in my life. So I want to encourage you, if you meet a challenge, don't let it beat you. Don't let it win. Let it be your catalyst to even more greatness. This is Monique, and I am your host of Sister Talk Real Talk, and this has been another Mo Moment. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Sister Talk Real Talk. Check me out at Sister Talk for Real. That's Sister Talk, the number 4 Real on Twitter, and Sister Talk on Facebook. And I will see you soon. Stay tuned for another Mo Moment coming soon.